We begin with a Fox News alert tonight. Tonight, we are more than 1 month into Putin's bloody invasion into Ukraine, and yet Russia's murdering thug has almost nothing to show for his efforts, except a lot of dead soldiers, faltering economy, blood all over his hands because of the brutal, indiscriminate bombings that have destroyed hospitals and schools, entire cities and neighborhoods, almost the entire city of Mariupol. But look at your screen. Early this morning, a port city occupied by Russia in southern Ukraine was rocked by explosions. Now, in a major blow to Putin's navy, one Russian warship was obliterated. Look at that. And the other two were visibly damaged. Now, this was during a Ukrainian strike. Now, the vessels weren't in the process of unloading important supplies. They were meant for Russian soldiers fighting on the front lines. Make no mistake, Ukraine is shocking the world. Very few people, including myself, thought that they would be able to hold out for more than a few days. And now there is a distinct possibility, if they get the proper support, they could actually win this war against Russia and Putin. But, a big but, they need Joe Biden, they need NATO allies to provide the weaponry to actually win this war of aggression. Let's stop Russia right here in Ukraine right now. Now, again, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about one American foot on the ground, no boots on the ground. That cannot happen. Biden needs to adopt the Reagan and Trump doctrines, as we have been discussing, and NATO and Joe Biden need to do two very important things, and they need to do it immediately. One, they've got to get President Zelensky and Ukraine all the weapons they need as fast as possible. That means the drones, middle and long-range air defense systems, the Javelins, Stinger missiles. And yeah, Joe, next time if Poland wants to give them MiGs, don't veto that. Let the MiGs go to Ukraine so they can fight the war themselves. Two, Europe needs to stop importing Russian energy, oil and gas right now. Any country that continues to buy any of Vladimir Putin's oil or gas is funding his war. And yes, it especially includes Germany, which is still very reliant on Russian oil and gas. Now, if only Germany had some warning about the dangers of their dependency on Russian energy. Oh, wait, they were warned by President Trump a few years back, you might remember.
I think energy is a much different story than normal trade. And you have a country like Poland that won't accept the gas. You take a look at some of the countries, they won't accept it because they don't want to be captive to Russia. But Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia. So we're supposed to protect Germany, but they're getting their energy from Russia. Explain that. And it can't be explained, you know that.
Trump was right again. Germany did not heed that warning, and now they are funding the bloodiest, most destructive war in modern European history. Never underestimate Germany's ability to screw up their own backyard. But today, during a press conference in Brussels, one German reporter wasn't interested in asking a question about the war in his own continent. Instead, he offered Biden an opportunity to bash Donald Trump and his supporters on the world stage, which, of course, Joe happily obliged.
I had no intention of running for president again. And until I saw those folks coming out of the fields in Virginia carrying torches and carrying Nazi banners and literally singing the same vile rhyme that they used in Germany in the early 20s. Or 30s, I should say. I say to people at home, imagine if we sat and watched the doors of the Bundestag broken down and police officers killed and hundreds of people storming in. Or imagine if we saw that happening in the British Parliament or whatever. How would we feel? And one of the things that I take some solace from is I don't think you'll find any European leader who thinks that I am not up to the job.
He's not up to the job. He's the weakest and worst president we've had in the modern era. And Joe, while he's in Europe, he's more than happy to wax and wane about a 2017 riot in Charlottesville, Virginia. But somehow he can't seem to answer a simple question about deterring Vladimir Putin. Watch this.
Whoa. No. Yeah, one final question, right. Hey, look, wait, hold on a second, please. I was supposed to be an hour ago at the European Union meeting and to speak. No, I'm thanking you. So someone I haven't called on before. You. Who are you?
I'm Christina Arcady from CBS. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, deterrence didn't work. What makes you think Vladimir Putin will alter course based on the action you've taken today?
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. That's not what I said. You're playing a game with me. I know. The answer is no. I think what happens is we have to demonstrate the purpose. The single most important thing is for us to stay unified.
That's what you suggested and what Kamala Harris said. Now, Joe's answer on the use of chemical weapons also failed to inspire any confidence. Take a look.
So you've warned about the real threat of chemical weapons being used. Have you gathered specific intelligence that suggests that President Putin is deploying these weapons, moving them to position, or considering their use? And would the U.S. or NATO respond with military action if he did use chemical weapons?
You know, on the first question, I can't answer that. I'm not going to give you intelligence data, number one. Number two, we would respond. We would respond if he uses it. The nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use.
Allow me to translate. Joe Biden has no idea how he would respond to a chemical attack. Now, he and NATO better figure that out fast, considering they're the ones that keep telling us, this can happen. The world needs strong, decisive, clear-minded strength and leadership, especially from the United States, but it's not going to come from that guy because Biden is sadly unwilling, mentally unable to provide that kind of leadership. Sad but true. Instead, according to General Jack Keane, who will join us in a moment, Biden is now pressuring, according to high-ranking sources of his, President Zelensky to make a deal with Putin, to surrender, to give in. What, give half your country away, Joe? Is that what you would do? Surrender? You know, okay, you invaded us. I'll give you California, Idaho, and Oregon. We'll even throw in New York. Appease a murdering thug dictator that invades a foreign country? Is that your idea of appeasement? Boy, you make Neville Chamberlain look like Winston Churchill. Now, back here at home, Biden has no plan at all for our 40-year high record inflation or the all-time high gas prices all of us are suffering under, and now a looming food shortage, which, according to 2020 Joe Biden, a food shortage is a sign of failed leadership. That's what Joe said in 2020. Take a look.
With regard to food shortage, yes, we did. So talk about food shortages, and it's going to be real.
We don't have a food shortage problem. We have a leadership problem. We have plenty of food.
Leadership problem is you, Joe. Ask yourself, could Biden's presidency, could it get any worse? The economy in this country is awful. We are absolutely headed towards inflation, a recession. Inflation's at a 40-year high, Joe. Gas prices are at record high prices. It's killing the poor and the middle class, and every American pays more for every item they buy in every store. Thanks a lot. It's costing everybody $100 plus to fill up their gas tank. It's costing more to heat and cool our homes. A nationwide food shortage now in the looming. Of course, the border in a state of chaos, all created by Joe, all preventable if he would have kept Donald Trump's policies in place. Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal, an unmitigated disaster. He turned the page, and people are trapped behind enemy lines. That's great. By the way, the Taliban announced that girls can't go to high school, Joe. You going to do anything about that? There's a massive new war in Europe. China's threatening to invade and take over Taiwan. Iran has never been closer to getting nuclear weapons. Even worse, Biden is sucking up to, how humiliating to this country, the mullahs in Iran. He's sucking up to the murdering thug dictator of Venezuela. He's begging over and over again, even though he keeps getting rejected, OPEC to produce more oil. But according to Joe, America's back and better than ever. Joe Biden is delusional. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.